First up is Ogi Chalakovich from Celina, Texas. Ogi will explain how Celina improved their workflows and data management with the implementation of ArcGIS and Cityworks. Ogi, it's all yours.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ogi Chalakovich. I'm the GIS director with the city of Celina. Let's see if this is working. All right. So today I'm going to really kind of like Cindy said, tell you how Celina has utilized GIS to promote growth and plan for the future. A little bit about us. Celina is a suburb about 35 miles north of Dallas. We're located just north of Prosper and Frisco. We're centered at the intersections of Future DNT, Collin County Outer Loop, and Preston Road. Today, our ultimate growth boundary is roughly 78 square miles, and that's the second largest footprint of any Collin County city, right behind McKinney. Really cool fact is that Celina will be the only other city besides Dallas to have 10 miles of DNT frontage within its boundary. A little bit about our demographics. Today, our population is about 30,000 people. That number is expected to grow to over 50,000 by 2025 and about 200,000 by 2040. Our ultimate build out is really going to be anywhere from 350 to 400,000 people, depending on our density. Our average home value fluctuates on a monthly basis anywhere between 400,000 to 428,000. In 2019 and 2020, Dallas Business Journal had us as the #1 fastest growing city based on population growth from 2015 to 2019 and 2016 to 2020. A little bit about growth. So a really interesting fact, if you look back in 2010 at the census number, Celina was about 6,000 people. As you can kind of see, our permit numbers, single family residential permit numbers from 17 to 20, we've done about just north of 6,500 single family residential homes between 15 and 2020, which is honestly, if you take the average pop of 3.17 is almost 20,000 people in just 5 years. And this year we're on our record pace year. Right now we're sitting at 2,150 single family residential permits, but we're on pace anywhere between 2,700 to 2,800. A little bit about Celina and GIS. I got here in January 2018, and that's really when our GIS department was established. Currently today, we're a part of development services. I've been by myself for about 2 years, and we just hired, November 2020, we've hired a wonderful GIS analyst. So currently 2 personnel members, and we will be adding additional team members fiscal year 2022-23. Just a little history of Celina pre-GIS. I think we can all relate. Any city that is growing exponentially is always going to have trouble in terms of efficiency and wanting to optimize our workflows. So staff efficiency was really limited by using alternative methods, whether that was prolonged plan review or lack of record drawings or difficulty locating existing infrastructure. My personal favorite when I got here was 911 headaches. You know, we did address plats back in the day by hand, and county was in charge of addressing. So as you know it, that was probably a nightmare once the address plat was sent over and address plat was updated, but you know, the builders and the engineering companies and the developers did not receive the updated plats. And next thing you know, we have a home on ground with the wrong address, or even worse, has the right address, but you have the wrong address in your 911 system, which is a nightmare in terms of 911 headaches. Intro of GIS, kind of, as I said, when I first got here, honestly, we've had, our GIS was really kind of done by planning staff. We were outsourcing with half associates and they were doing a wonderful job, but we really had a web application. In terms of internal GIS, we didn't really have anything. And I really like to show this slide on any presentation I do because I think we can all relate how critical organization and accuracy is to have a successful GIS program. For us personally, we really focused on, we kind of had a strategic plan, which was really 3 to 5 years to kind of integrate and spend most of our time on focusing on organization and accuracy and creating geodatabases and going into an SD environment, and over time hopefully get to an asset management system. So just a little bit about that. When I first got here, I was here by myself and really had to, you can only plan so much before you have to actually get down to business and start integrating things, because you can always, get on the whiteboard and draw and plan and strategically try to figure out how to do things. But for us, 95% of my time was probably focusing on engineering and public works standpoint and infrastructure, water, sewer, storm, drainage, streets, anything that we could get our hands on in terms of data. It was really starting to clean that data up and slowly start to, create geodatabases and then slowly really integrate into a SD environment. One of the first things, if you ask me, I look at GIS having two different components, being playing an integral internal tool and for your end users internally, and then obviously playing a huge role in terms of marketing perspective as an external tool. So that's kind of how we've treated it. As we focused a lot of our time on our infrastructure internally, we also wanted to kind of create a one-stop shop. And so our focus within the first year was really creation of a GIS portal where we can kind of attract residents and businesses to come to Celina, where whether it was just a all-in-one general map that shows city limit, zoning, thoroughfare map, addressing roads, or maybe story maps in terms of a journal story map that talks about school districts serving Celina or master plan communities. It was really helpful, and we have a really close local community, so it was really easy for us to understand what the external world kind of wanted to see. Obviously, after we integrated the GIS portal, we kind of moved into the GIS server integration and kind of expanded our GIS capabilities. I don't want to get too much into it because I really want to focus our time on Cityworks and our city app, but just to kind of give you an overview of kind of how we pushed each year for more integrations and really stressing the importance of infrastructure. Another slide pretty much just kind of goes back to what I was saying. 95% of our time was really focusing on engineering and public works. When we got here, we didn't really have, as-built or record drawings. They were mostly paper plats, and first things first was figuring out what we do have, what we don't have, and focusing on really putting it into a digital format. And really quickly, we established some procedures for us that were tremendously helpful. For any time that developers and engineers submitted, construction plans at the time of construction for reviews, we would require construction CADs, and we would do the same thing for as-builts. That way, we are making our lives easier, because obviously there's only two of us, and the demand in a 78 square mile city is exponential. We're working at north of 30 to 40 projects every week. And so really, once we established those processes, it was a lot easier for us to kind of have, at least, we have a lot of new neighborhoods. For the new neighborhoods, where we're able to focus on that and actually get the CADs and just put them in GIS, attach the links, and then we really created an all-in-one internal map for our end users. So even if you're organized, whether it's engineering or public works or GIS folder structure, it's always easier to just have to go to one all-in-one internal inclusive map where you can hit a line, whether it's a water, storm, wastewater line, and hit the pop-up box through ArcGIS Online and have the pop-up box pop up and just click on the more info to actually see the as-builts. So for us, it was tremendous to see how much time we were able to save for our end users. At the same time, while we were working with our internal staff, we asked for a lot of help. Our internal communication with our public works department was really, really important in kind of just improving our efficiencies and optimizing our workflows, where we had almost like a two-way platform, whether that was through Collector or Survey or even a Smart Editor through the web app builder, where our supervisors had the editor licenses to be able to kind of input data when they saw it in the field, or maybe they saw a fire hydrant that was a foot or two over from it's the wrong location. So, and then on GIS staff on the back end is kind of able to QA and QC. And we've spent really, even today we're still optimizing everything, but for about a year and a half or 2 years into our GIS infrastructure, we felt pretty comfortable with our data that we wanted to move into an asset management system because we wanted to be able to track, especially staff efficiency on the public works side, how much time they're actually spending in the field and how much time they're spending doing inspections. And so that leads me to my next slide in Cityworks integration. We started it in January of 2020, and it was a 6 months integration. We worked with GIS Inc. and we really enjoyed working with them. We're actually having them do some training for us moving forward. But it was honestly, we didn't have too many challenges with the actual integrations. We integrated Cityworks Online through our ArcGIS Online with GIS. We've set up all our users with SSO. And in terms of where we are today, so we've been live about a year and a half. We have a total of 40 users, and pretty much all of Public Works is pushed through Cityworks. And as you can kind of see, some of our asset groups, we have water, sewer, storm, street, traffic, and facilities. We pretty much do anything from inspections to service requests to work orders. As we were kind of working with GIS Inc. with Cityworks integration, at the same time, we were working on another project of having a all-in-one inclusive city app. We wanted to have something that would really kind of cover any holes in terms of service requests, and we partnered up with Cityfront, and we were really sold on their app once we found out that the application actually has virtual image recognition. And so it wasn't just a marketing app, but it was really a lot more for us to actually try to integrate the virtual image recognition for service requests. Once we found out that they had that capability, as we started working kind of together with Cityworks at the same initiative or same time, we wanted to see if there's a capability of maybe automizing the app where a service request goes straight into Cityworks, because we already have the asset management system platform. So I'm just gonna play you a short video of what the actual app is, and then I'll kind of go a little more in depth about the service requests. Oh, video cannot be loaded. Okay, so I'll go back real quick since the video won't play. The video really just kind of shows you an overview of what the app actually is. As you can kind of see, these are some of the main tiles. We have events integrated with Facebook, so anytime our marketing staff updates events, it's a smooth transition. We don't have to do anything on the back end. Eat and drink, we've kind of just integrated some of our GIS story maps so our residents have an idea of where to shop, and we really want to have people shop locally and attract residents to come into our downtown. We had our official website, obviously our GIS map on there as well, which shows a gallery of our maps and apps. And then we also had a really cool aspect of the app is we have our own podcast that we have, historical figures that lived in Celina for a really long time, or really any developers tell their background stories of how they became a developer and engineer, or, have their local business in Celina. I'm gonna skip over the video and all right, this is really what I kind of wanted to take a dive deep into. So with the service request, as I kind of said, we discovered that the application has virtual image recognition. So basically what it does, it uses an AI in the background to take a picture of an object. So the more pictures you take, it uses a correction method. So for example, if you take a picture of a fire hydrant issue, you just have to do a good job of being real close to the object, and it's been very, very accurate in terms of recognizing objects. Now if you have a cone next to a fire hydrant, you have to do a good job of kind of putting your notes in, so next time it's almost like a learning software, right? So we really wanted this to be a public outreach kind of app, and it's a public app. You can download it through Apple Store and Google Play. So we really got together internally with Public Works and engineering to kind of talk about what are the categories that we want to focus on for people to be able to submit service requests. So you can kind of see a screenshot. These are some of the main categories, because we didn't want to do a deep dive like we had templates for Cityworks internally. We wanted it to be quite simple, so everyday Joe is not confused of what to submit when they're actually taking a picture. And so we had two different links. Since we had various departments use the city application, obviously right now only Public Works is in our CityWorks, but parks and code enforcement, for example, are not. So we have added a other category to the list of our categories. So basically, if you're taking a picture of a pothole right now or a fire hydrant, as you can kind of see in this example, if you take a picture of a fire hydrant, it'll give you the location, your GPS of your phone. It'll find where you're located. So that address will automatically come into CityWorks as well. You can kind of see a note that I said this is a test. So what happens when you actually click on the submit button, you'll get a submission that says has been received, and you'll get a case number. And that case number is really the exact same case number that the supervisor will see that will come in as a service request. And everything comes in as a service request, and then really it's the supervisor's job to kind of decide whether they need to escalate this into a work order, or just take care of a service request and close it out. Another really cool component of the app is that we preset every category to supervisors. So anything related to water is obviously going to go to our water supervisor. Anything related to wastewater, to our wastewater, roads, and so forth and so on. And then really quickly, just to kind of go back, the other category, we would just set it to an email. As soon as parks and code enforcement, that's kind of our next step to push parks and code enforcement into CityWorks, and then we're going to get rid of that other category. But for right now, our main goal is really just to make sure we're not missing anything that comes in, and this been tremendously successful for us in terms of just making sure that everything that's been submitted to the city, because back in the day, we have a MyGov, which is our permitting software, and people would submit random things there and staff wouldn't catch it, or emails would come through. And we even had a CityBot, which is our texting platform, so people would submit through that way. And we just had a really difficult time of keeping up with those service requests, and you really never want to get an email from your taxpayer a week or two later saying, oh, you guys never took care of this service request. So it's been a very successful push out for us, because we did a heavy marketing, and we did a great job of marketing this out to our public. And we really tested this for at least 4 to 5 months before we went live. I want to say the whole process from beginning to end took about 18 months. We were probably ready to go live about a year into it, but we really kind of did a soft live opening where we really just had staff, troubleshoot it and send as many service requests. And we've noticed, little problems when it comes to, whether the case number is not supposed to be matching up. And the developer really did a great job of really focusing on the micro level details of just making sure, once we go live to the public, that we don't have the same issues. Moving forward, some further integration that we want to do, as I mentioned briefly, Celina today is about 78 square miles, but we only have about 40 square miles in the city limits. And with the recent state annexation laws of involuntary annexation, that was changed in 2017, it's kind of made it tougher for us to actually annex properties. But at the same time, prior to September 1st of 2015, if you had annexations that were prior to that date, you would only do maintenance of your roads to the center line, and then anything after, you would take on the whole road in front of that polygon boundary that you had for your city limits. So for us, it's always been a conversation between us and the county, and even TxDOT. Hey, do you guys maintain it? Do we maintain it? So what we've done, we've really created our own internal annual street maintenance program. We're also working with some contractors on the side to do PCI studies, because we want to do it for the whole city, but as we know it's not cheap, and especially when you have 78 square miles, it gets really challenging. So in the meantime, this is kind of something that we created internally that we want users to kind of focus on, especially from a public works standpoint. We're showing, as you can kind of see the dashboard, it kind of shows what's our maintenance, what's county maintenance, what's TxDOT maintenance, but we also have different filters that kind of classifies it based on street age, street class, and then street surface types, because our biggest focus moving forward we want to know each year what are our most important streets to be fixed. And we all know potholes are probably our number one issue, just probably like any other city. Water's up there as well, but this really helps us out in addressing those concerns. And now we've kind of given this to Public Works, and as they're driving the roads, they're really showing us what we need to kind of improve on the GIS side, in terms of just, hey, maybe you need to update this where it's actually brick or flex space or dirt, in terms of just surface types. Some of the current challenges, just like anyone else, I mean, currently, like I said, we're 30,000 people, but we're exploding. We're on pace to do 2,800 permits this year. So really just keeping up with the demand, and making sure we're communicating internally. We're still very small, so we still don't have any silos, and we really have a unique culture in Celina, so we're trying to keep it that way. We have an open door policy, but the challenges arise once you get bigger, and once you have many different facilities, and your departments are in different facilities, so you really want to kind of preserve that small charm community and be able to talk to all your executive staff, and kind of keeping everyone in the loop of what's going wrong and how can we address it ASAP. And then obviously optimizing workflows. That's all I have for today. I'd be happy to answer any questions.